Hello, this is Grant. Welcome back to another episode of Dead Rising 2 Master Run, episode 19. So, this is going to be one of the more stressful episodes for me. We have to get all these guys back, finish the Hunger Pain scoop, give Katie Zombrex at the right time, and deal with the Tape It or Die crew, who is by far the worst set of survivors in this game. Overall, they're pretty good. They're based off of a viral marketing campaign for the game, where it's Tape It or Die, as in duct tape. And I believe it was a site that they ran prior to this game coming out, where people could suggest like ideas for combo weapons and whatnot, and they could kind of review it. And it's acted like this little group that runs the website supposedly, with a couple differently unique named characters and whatnot. And yeah, it's a cool idea. Yeah, I would recommend looking into it if you want to know more. I don't really know that much, so I don't really want to say on their actual history. But they're annoying because they only spawn in one area. They have this Tape It or Die headquarters with very specific rules about when you can get in it. And we need to get in it not to save them now, but to trigger the case to save them later. I believe it's only open 6 a.m. to noon on this day. And it shuts, I think, if you go through it too much. I'm not quite sure because there's been times I've gone there and I can't get in. But they give you a scoop to give him a cement saw and a set of plates, and he'll make a plate launcher for you. Plus, then it'll trigger the later thing. But trying to work this in the run, I can say, out of anything, this might have been the biggest run ruiner, just because I'll do everything, I'll get there either late, or for some reason it'll be closed despite it supposedly being at the proper time. And just, honestly, the fact that the later one is such a huge issue. Tape It or Die 2 is what the mission's called. My gosh. I will rant about it a lot. Plus just doing this all when I have, all these survivors with me. Because that's another issue with Tape It or Die is the 8 survivor limit on not the mall, the strip. There can only be 8 people. So I don't know quite how it works because like in this case, I don't think I take these survivors back. So it seems like there's more than 8, but they don't all count. It's weird. So that's a shortcut. You'll just see me. I opened up. Well, it's opened up by the TK scoop where they're going around stealing from the bank. That's where that armor card was. And it's pretty convenient. It's a nice little way to get out of that Atlantica casino. It's not really necessary because Atlantica's already pretty short. But it's kind of cool. You end up using it a lot. So we're going to head out here with... You need some food to give to this guy. I want to say this beer is going to work, but I might end up needing a snack. You can find him in a trash can. He will accept spoiled food, but it won't advance the plot line. His little plot line, at least. But you can see him throw up. I think that's kind of funny. That he's so hungry from the stress that he'll eat a spoiled hamburger from the trash. So, I can't rant enough about Tape It or Die. Because, yeah, it's a little annoying. That's just me. That sound, wow. So yeah, I think I end up giving this to him. It's kind of weird how the game interprets food for these kind of things. Like, raw food technically counts, but I guess not really. Or this drink counts. It's odd, but he's gonna give us Zombrex, which is pretty nice. Like, I guess this is, if you didn't do the other scoop, this is an easy way to get Zombrex. And as part of this scoop, since you need food, you'll notice that this entire area is cleared out to make it harder. They do that plenty of times. Anytime you're required to get something for a survivor, it'll remove all the items around him. So, yeah, we should be good. Now we gotta go deal with Tape It or Die. So we have to get a cement saw and a set of plates. You can actually grab the plates right there if you want, but there's actually... If you go underground in Palisades Mall, which is right next to the Tape It or Die crew, there's a set of plates and a cement saw specifically made for making that item. So if you can just grab it and take it to him, you'll be well off on your way. Yeah, there's an example of their awesome attacks. That little punch from Summer. Great. So here I'm just like If you see me pausing, it's because I'm like double checking again and again the tape or die times because they just seem to be so finicky. Like I said, there's been times where I've been there, gone down, started the quest, and came back, and then they won't let me in again despite it being the right time. So it's really finicky. I assume that information came from a guy because I don't know how you would ever find that out, like otherwise. So there's a advertisement for Antoine, if you remember him as a psychopath. I really like that they have those little asides, like the in-universe references. Sorry, I just got a call. Anyway, we're back. I don't particularly like having these giant parties. I've always wanted to make an army and just like get them all like shotguns and whatnot, but without weapons, they can be just quite the burden. So, but I imagine if you had 8 survivors, you would just steamroll everything. I don't really know what you would do because if you have 8 survivors, basically no scoop would occur. Maybe only the psychopath ones, but only if they didn't have survivors. So, and you can't go back to the safe room, really, realistically. But it is kind of cool just how empowering it is. I wish they would show you all survivors have personalities and different stats. Things like their health, their damage, how brave they are, how likely they are to get knocked down, what weapons they can use. I wish you had a way to like pull up stats like that. And you could tell like, oh, this person's cowardly, so you should really escort them. Because it could be really brutal in one. Like there are survivors who would only like crawl on the ground and make like no headway. So they were a huge burden. Other ones, you would be like, hey, this dude just dives in, he's awesome. Give him a battle axe and just let him go to town. Because you can kind of observe that, but really, it's not worth the time to go make like a list of how everyone works. So it looks like, yeah, I'm going to go drop these guys off for tape or die just because I want to say it's going to block me, I think, from getting in if I have too many survivors. Which, again, is another annoying thing because you only can get in 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., which can be difficult to get all these guys and get the poker scoop done in time. It can be a huge issue. So I had to keep making sure I had plenty of time to do all this because I have to go run back to the Palisades Mall. Honestly, if you do not have the shortcut, don't bother with tape it or die. You definitely cannot save them at the end of the game if you do not have the shortcut. Why is Cora all the way over there? There's always one that messes it up. Always. I want to say she's one of the prostitutes, so she should be able to handle herself. Although, don't feel bad about just like going in and saving the people who are there and just going and getting them again. It's a load off, and technically, you don't really lose any time because it's all in cutscenes and whatnot. I wish you could force the option like to pick up survivors or like hold their hand, kind of like what you can do with the wheelchair. Just because sometimes they'll just be a huge pain and their AI is just not going to help you out on saving them. Alright, here we go. Back to the safe house and then right back out again. Huh. That guy's a little bit too into poker. Surprisingly, none of the people you play poker with in that mission show up in the other poker game. It seems like if they heard about it, they totally would. But we got our Zombrex from the Hunger Man guy. So I'm going to take a quick look in there to see if there's anyone who needs anything. Then I'm going to head back out, check the time, and make sure I'm not too late. Like I said, it should be good. It's after 6 a.m., so I should be in a good spot. And I do end up making it, but I can just say I have failed this scoop so many times. I think prior to this run, I have never done it successfully. There's just like so much to manage with these guys. Which is too bad because it's a cool scoop. But, I mean, if you don't have to save them, I don't. So. Luckily, I think there shouldn't be enough scoops starting to stop them from spawning. But I do want to just, like, get in there before more stuff comes in. The WWJD is What Would John Wayne Do? Who's an actor from like Western films. And there's only one survivor there, so it's not a huge concern. I really like that fight. Cool fight. Get a great weapon. It's nice. Bank run's annoying. But again, only one survivor. So our goal is we need to get Tape It to Die. First we have to get the cement saw, then we gotta get the plates, and then we gotta be there in time. And again, I don't quite know how it works because like I've been able to like get in there and come back within the time limit, and they just won't spawn, or like they won't let you back in. So if I'm gonna do it, I always get all the items first because I know what I need. Essentially, he's that says I want to try out this idea for this new combo weapon, so go get me the parts because it's too dangerous for him to go out, which is the cement saw and the plates. So we're gonna do that before anything else. Here I keep checking. They're in the Cocoa Town sports store. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a little door in the back that you can go down in. And that's where they're at. And you can tell if you get in because it'll be labeled Tape It or Die instead of just like a locked door or something. I want to like Palisades. Like design wise and whatnot, I want to like it, but for whatever reason, it's just things in here are annoying. So there's the Cocoa Nuts Sports Town. That's where they're at. And we're going to go over here to the underground where we can get our items. Luckily, this is really close. Like the next closest location is either South Plaza or the very far north point of the strip where you can get the cement saw. And then plates are everywhere. They're not that hard to carry with you. So, not particularly concerned about those. They do give you a really nice weapon, the plate launcher. It gives you a lot of PP, great against zombies. Awkward to make unless you go to this exact location. And that sums up like combo weapons in general for me. Unless you go to the room specifically made for that item, it's really impossible to make some combo weapons. Things like the paddle saw, there's only like 2 locations you can really make it. But theoretically, if you wanted to, you could carry stuff around and do it elsewhere. But really, it's just not worth the effort. This is actually, I believe, the same location you come to deal with TK for the first time. So we got our plates here. And then here on the left, I believe, is the cement saw, as well as a chainsaw. Oh, right side, I'm sorry. There's a shotgun there. I don't bother using it. I will say, I hate the scoop so much. It's just, for whatever reason, it's way more difficult than everything else. And just stressful. Like, they make it purposely stressful. Like, I know it's going to come. I wish I could just kind of be in the right place at the right time rather than having to wait for these calls or do their arbitrary time limits. Particularly because, like, they're not in danger. It's just, like, that little time that it's unlocked. Gosh. But it looks like we're on track to... They let us in, so we're good now. Now I just gotta deal with them at the end. There's a bunch of people you can talk down here, and they all have unique names. And I think the site's probably still up, so you can go and look and read the commentary. I've never visited it. I said I didn't actually play Dead Rising 2 when it came out, so I kind of missed the hype for it, which is too bad. Like, I hate how that stuff is kind of just like lost in history. Like, there's so many cool things that kind of are related to the game experience that just are forgotten. Like trailers, sites, stuff like that. It's a little sad. I wish there was like a nice little archive project for that. But alright, we can get in. Woo. I cannot tell you, seeing those words, how relieved I was. I think I failed this like 3 times in trying to set this up, which is quite annoying. But here we go. These guys use a lot of, I think all of them use models from other characters. Like Wallace here, he uses the same character as the dude you saved from Snowflake. I don't know what's up with that. Like, out of anything, these are like supposed to be survivors that have more work put into them, so I don't know why they would just reuse it. Like, they even reuse his animations there. And they just don't fit. So he explains it here. I'd say pause if you want to read it, or just like actually go to the site. I believe it's literally just tapeitordie.com. And you don't need to talk to anyone else. They'll give you some background info and then just tell you to talk to Wallace. So we won't see these guys again to the very end of normal mode. Literally, like, the very end. Which is why they're so annoying. I don't fully understand how this weapon works. Like, I get the whole point that the plates could be replaced, but I don't know how it flings it. But now we're in a race to get back to give Katie her Zombrex. It's like, my stressing's not over yet. Luckily, this weapon helps a lot. Essentially, it throws out like a saw blade is equivalent, where it just shoots through several different zombies, and it will just sever them all, making it really effective. It does kind of fly a little weird, if I recall, but overall, it's effective. I've never used it in a psychopath fight, but I would not want to use any heavy weapon in a psychopath fight unless I knew it was amazing. Because, God, they're just terrible. Just too easy to drop. You think after doing it all this time, I would be much more familiar with the game map. But even now, I still get turned around after essentially I played this game a lot. Like, I think I told before, I lost footage like twice and just fixing other things. And it definitely, in the end, it made the videos better because every time I played through it, I got better. But, man, so much time lost. Like, I really wanted to do some other side stuff. Like, I was going to do a video going through all the skills in Dead Rising 1 and 2 and their uses. And that got pushed back because I got to kind of do the main series. So I'm hoping to, now with some time out of school, to really be able to go through and get some of these like tertiary videos. Oh, cool! That plate like bounced off the wall. Let's see, I've never seen that before. But it's a cool little weapon. I wish it was worth making elsewhere. It's definitely a good PP weapon. Like, it'd be worth getting the PP enhancing book for this weapon, just because you have like 60 shots and each one could kill like 10 zombies. So you can easily get 1,000 or more PP a shot. And like 10% of that's pretty substantial versus 10% of like 100 PP that you only can kill a couple zombies with. Alright. We should be fine. Usually you have a little leeway with Katie. But it's like, I want to say you have between 7 to 8 to get it. And so you have a little bit more time than it looks like, I believe. But it is, when you get to 8 a.m., there's no leeway. It's happened to me before where it's like I've lost the game, like literally right outside the door to give her Zombrex. I guess she just instantly turns right then if you don't give it to her. Which is stressful. Extremely stressful. But we should be making good time. You can tell, like, when I actually am worrying about time, I am, like, efficient. I'm, like, no extra zombie kills. I'm cutting corners. I'm doing everything I can. And when I'm not, I just kind of, like, wander. I may or may not even be looking at the screen if I'm, like, double-checking my schedule. So let me know if you can tell, like, when I'm kind of phoning it in for the easier scoops. Because that totally happens. You can talk to Sullivan a lot of times when you come in, like, between story missions. He has some really good lines. But I didn't really feel it was necessary for this segment. So we got some story here. Essentially, every time you give Katie Zombrex, it functions as a little bit of story. So here she faints, and they talk a little bit more about the drug and the hero leader's relationship to it. I imagine it would be a pretty brutal drug to take because you're essentially, if you recall from the first game, they're putting like extra pheromones into your system to suppress the larva. Like, it's not a straight up cure or whatnot. It's like more of the parasite in a way, and that blocks it. I'm sure it makes more sense, but it's got to be brutal on your insides.
She used to have to deal with Zombrex too.
Used to.
She couldn't take it anymore. Everything.
It seems like there would be a more realistic way to, like, give Zombrex care. Like, you'd have to, if you're buying Zombrex, you'd have to, like, report it. Otherwise, you'd be illegal. And then they just had to keep track of those people.
Isabella Keys was looking for it.
Wasn't she one of the
You know, Isabella Keys, Will Met, a little bit of throwback here.
He was angry, taking revenge for a government experiment that caused all of this in the first place. Isabella tried to help. She worked with Frank West to make the first inhibitor, using queens.
They don't really mention the first game at all, besides like these, like 1 or 2 segments where they mention it a lot. But it's cool. I mean, the story of Dead Rising is kind of there. It's only really there if you go look for it. But fascinating, nonetheless. But now we got some more free time. Luckily, we got over that stressful section and I can relax. This was this was really stressful. I thought I was going to have to restart again so many times in this episode. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, check out one of the links below. Till next time, don't take your zombie safety for granted.